Hello, welcome all to this interesting session. International Association of Facilitators, IAF, is a worldwide community of facilitators. It has members in more than 65 countries. In short, IAF stands for Enabling Powerful Change. Facilitation Week is celebrated by IAF globally to ignite facilitation-related initiatives, to build an understanding of how facilitation can be used in varied areas of life, showcase the power of facilitation, and create a sense of community amongst facilitators. This year, the Facilitation Week is celebrated from September 11th to 17th across the globe. We from Chennai Hub of India chapter decided to have an interview from distinguished facilitators to elicit their views on process facilitation. The moderator for this discussion will be Roop Anand. He is currently the CEO of Ashwin International Chennai. He is also a graphic designer and photographer, multifaceted personality. And panelist Narsi is head of learning and leadership development with Sundaram Finance Group. He is an endorsed facilitator, certified executive coach, former global board member of IAF as director of conferences of global events. Another panel member, distinguished panel member, Kala Diwanji, is co-founder at 60 Bits Consulting. She is certified professional facilitator, CPF, from IAF. With this brief introduction, I would hand over the session to you, Roop. It's all over to you.
Thank you, Ramesh. I'm so privileged to be here in this conversation. Hello and welcome to Narsi and Kala. And thank you, Ramesh, again, for giving me the opportunity. I'm sure we're going to have a fruitful conversation on facilitation. Now, let me ask a question to Narsi. What is process facilitation and why it is called so?
Okay, I'll keep it simple in layman terms. So imagine a map. There is a point, starting point, and there is a ending point, a destination, which is B. So, and there is a route map. Okay, so if you can visualize this, you can understand what is process facilitation. So we from IAF, who are called process facilitators, clearly understand this from clients. What are the desired outcomes? And then we exactly decide on a process which will take the group from point A to point B in the most effective way possible. At the same time, why is it called so? Because it's the process.
So just adding on to what Narsi said, if you want to put it up terms and principle and framework, so we as process facilitators follow the principle of diamond of facilitation. That means any of our process that Narsi, you just heard Narsi say, from taking from point A to point B, how is it as we process facilitators create the divergence, shared understanding, and the convergence? So if our processes have this diamond of facilitation, then it is called process facilitation.
Thank you, Kala, and thank you, Narsi. That was a very good explanation of what is process facilitation. I'm sure this will help a lot of people who are seeing this will get an idea, better idea, and a simpler idea of what is process facilitation. And Kala, I'd like to ask you, is there a difference between process facilitation and training?
In today's times, a trainer and facilitator has been used, interchangeably without people understanding there is a very big difference. So let me make it very simple for people to understand when you're listening to this. Training is imparted when, the skills have to be given. Like suppose there is a newcomer in an organization, he's joining the organization new, he doesn't know anything about the policies and the processes of the organization. That time he needs to be trained on that. Right? Now, the same person has had some time in the organization and is having a problem. Now, he is having a problem, right? So that means he would be also having a solution. But he's been never asked for the solution. So we as process facilitators would create that space for conversation where the solution would itself come from the person rather than we giving them and telling them what the medicine is. So training is given when you need to impart skills. Whereas process facilitation is used when people in the group, right, have the knowledge to achieve the desired outcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kala.
In short, Roop, what is happening in training? I'm also a trainer, so it's important to acknowledge that I'm a trainer as well as a facilitator. Each has its place, like what Kala was alluding to. So in training, as trainers, we own the content and we deliver the content. Right? In process facilitation, we are the owners of the process only. The content is developed in the hall among the participants. So we are quite neutral or omnipresent to what's happening in the hall. So I hope that gives the differentiation between training and process facilitation.
Yeah.
And just sorry to interrupt, but it is as simple as content is what and process is how.
This is how.
Oh, yeah. So we are the how champions.
We are the how champions. We have the know-how of the how.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And the facilitator is being neutral. That is the key word, being the facilitator being neutral in the process.
It's neutral. That's what I said. So some people ask, how can you facilitate if you're neutral or if you do not know the subject? It's pretty much like in coaching. So it's all about eliciting. It's not about giving my view or her view like that. So it's just about ensuring that, like in the previous question, the map is laid out and participants move along the map. And we are enablers of that destination being reached. Thank you.
Thank you, Narsi, and thank you, Kala. Narsi,
Yeah.
what area process facilitation can be best applied?
Okay, so as we saw in the previous question, wherever it's not about imparting skill or knowledge, where a solution is being brought out. So one thing very distinctly differentiates facilitation is harvesting the group wisdom. That's where we are actually speaking. So any place where a group wants to, let's say, for example, change management, a new product launch, right? So these kind of topics are best done, or recently I was doing where two groups of senior leadership need to be brought down to have conversations. A safe space has to be created for conversations to happen. So these are the places where I'm sure Kala will add from our experience, is where process facilitation works the best.
Yes, so thank you, Narsi, for that. So simply put, to what I hear Narsi say is process facilitation is used whenever a challenge or a problem has divergent solutions, right? So there is no one fixed solution for a problem, but there is a divergence. So you could use process facilitation for that. So we have used process facilitation for co-creation of values of a company, for co-creation of a vision and mission for companies, right? So it works very beautifully where it is, the ownership and responsibility becomes then the people involved rather than, it is, as we say, it is co-created. So everyone has the responsibility for achieving it.
Yeah, responsibility and also the ownership.
Yes, ownership.
When the
Absolutely.
ownership is high because of we all sat together and created it, then what happens is the execution quotient goes up.
Absolutely.
Why? Because it's I created it or we created together. So that's where my own metaphor for process facilitators is my metaphor is midwife. We offer our skilled assistance, and the parents say this is our baby, and that's where our success lies, and we go to the next delivery. As simple as that. So wherever there is, to answer your questions, and like Kala beautifully brought out, wherever there is a group involved and there is a challenge and the multiple ideas are there and everybody has some ideas about that. And in process facilitation group, what I have seen is that even if somebody is an introverted person, so if there is a dialogue mode or the group discussion, they just keep quiet. They don't want to share because of their disposition. But in process facilitation, even their ideas are brought out because we have clear divergence processes right? Where their own ideas are well captured. They have their share of voice through paper. So we ask them to write in paper and put it on the sticky wall, right? Where everybody has been satisfied that their ideas have been well considered. And when there's a convergence process happen, we know that the entire group feels that my ideas are up there, and the group facilitator, the process facilitator, decides on a criteria for landing the plane, which is again decided by the participants. And then when the convergence happens, there is no dissonance.
The reason being everyone feels heard.
Heard and
even
seen.
Seen, and because they feel that even if my point was not taken, but at least I got a chance, an opportunity to be there, to be heard. And as humans, I think the basic necessity to be heard and seen is so very important. That basic respect that a process facilitator gets into the whole space of conversation.
So to answer, so what we captured, so I mentioned about change management, a new product development, and she mentioned about visioning. And again, I mentioned about where conversations need to take place. Critical, crucial conversations need to take place. There are defined processes which can really safely take the group to conclusion.
Thank you, Narsi. Thank you, Kala. So that means there are many areas of where we can use process facilitation. Yeah, that's a great
yes.
thing to know about. And can you share some success stories of application of process facilitation in corporates as well as in social sector? Kala, I'd like you to take this.
Okay. Thank you. So we largely work in the corporate sector. So I would have some examples for that. So very recently, for a very large Indian automotive manufacturing company, we helped 120 of their HRBP to become their internal consultant, internal process consultant. Right. So that was very challenging assignment to work, so that people could see the power of process facilitation. And when you have internal customers, how do you maintain that neutrality? How do you actually go and, have your stakeholder conversation becomes very important. The other example, which is very close to my heart, is one recently done for a fin company, where we co-created the values for them and helped them cascade it. So it was so beautiful to see when the whole organization came and we created these processes where, each one could voice the value that they thought that the company stood for, what were the behaviors, that could be seen as those values, and then cascading it. Right. So that was something very powerful, where we saw the real power of process facilitation, where we went even to the feet on the street to ask them what did that value mean to them. And it's so beautiful, at the end when you read it, it just seems that everyone is talking the same thing, but in different words. Yes. So as a process facilitator, you feel the joy of seeing, wow, it is so much, there's so much knowledge, and it's just that we need to ask people. It's just about that do we really ask people? Do we give them that space for conversation? Right. So these are the two things that is coming up. And one beautiful for the social sector, we are working, it's going to be there in next month, where we are empowering facilitators of an NGO that is working for sustainability with Indian organizations. So they're working for sustainability for change. So we are empowering these facilitators with the tools of process facilitation, the tools for conversation, so that they can have meaningful conversations with the stakeholders. That's the government officials, the organizations, the people who are going to be affected by these changes that they're asking people to make. Right. So that is something I'm looking forward to for next month.
Okay. So in my case, yeah, she's spoken about the corporates. I'll talk to you about the social sector. This is Ramesh was also there. I think it was last year's facilitation week, Ramesh, where we did in the Brahma Kumaris. Yeah. So it was about a bunch of about 12 or 15 villages, and ladies. So the hall was about 160 to 180 villagers, And they're all coming from very, very backward communities, and they are illiterate. They don't know about, if you ask them to write and things like that. So this is quite a challenge where we need to bring them to some sort of a conclusion for these 9, and there was a heads of these villages are also there. And the Brahma Kumari Center is the one which is spearheading the change management of right from decade-long habits, to give up those decade-long habits, which are clearly making the family to go in wrong ways. So a lot of excitement in the hall, and it was to make these villagers come together and come out with some kind of a vision, which the Brahma Kumaris can spearhead. But the key thing is Brahma Kumari is only again a facilitating organization who wants to invest and see that the villages' lives are better, but that has to be done with the permission and concurrence of the villages. They can't simply go and say, you leave this habit. Nothing, nobody will believe that. Nobody is going to take all those things, and they are all deep-rooted habits. So at the end of the session of about 90 minutes, the entire hall had so many charts, about 20, 25 of them, each one, envisioning for their village, what can be the future. So it was a very inclusive session where the beauty was, I didn't know when I walked in how to engage the people who cannot read and write. So it was completely barefoot. So what I did is I asked them, do you put Rangoli in front of your houses? They all said yes. And that was enough for me. So I brought in appreciative inquiry as a process. So where you are, what your life can be. And since they are experts in putting Rangoli, they just painted all the charts. And you must see the kind of vision each one of them have. Believe me, they're completely backward in terms of every single way. But the asha, the dreams, the aspirations they have for themselves and their children came out in richness, in all its richness in the charts, which was amazing, I would say. I would say, more than any corporate program, that was one of the programs which I can kind of acknowledge for myself. Coming to corporate, the recent one, 1.5 months back in Mumbai. So two sales organizations coming together, and they must come together to see that the vision that they have taken, a very ambitious target, 12 months target in 9 months has to be achieved. That's an ambitious target they took some 3 months back. And if that has to be achieved, these two groups must come together to converse, to have a conversation. It was not happening at all levels, and it was showing up. So the desired outcome was these two groups must collaborate, right? And there were sources of conflict. So first that was identified. It was a 2-day offsite. At the end of the 2 days, they were really joyful. They came together, and we decided to chalk out what's called as a culture code, where these two different organizations actually, but they must work together. So the culture code also came out of them, and the MD and the VPs have taken it on themselves to see that the culture code is refined and published to the entire organization in whatever languages that everybody is going to be understanding. So those are the possibilities. I brought in a process called Theory U there, which really brings about from let go to let go. So these are the places that success stories.
Thank you, Narsi. Thank you, Kala.
Success for the participants.
Yes, I think facilitation, from what both of you have been saying, facilitation is about enabling people to discover themselves and also arrive at their own group wisdom. I think that will be a great way of saying. Narsi, can you tell us something about professional development for aspiring facilitators?
Professional development. Okay.
Yes.
There is a certified professional facilitator who will talk more. But as an endorsed facilitator, I will talk first.
Because he wants to know the path.
I know, that's why I'm talking.
Yeah, so who better than you?
This is all for us to reach the point of CPF.
Yeah. So for those who are listening to this might sound as jargon, CPF and EF. So I'll tell my story. So from Chennai, I attended the IAF conference, Asia conference in 2015. And I went there and I thought there'll be some chief guest talking all those things, nothing, just the regional director at that time, Ajit Kamath, came off the dais and said, facilitators to run concurrent sessions. I was completely smitten by all these things, and I came back and opened the Chennai hub, which was not there. So from there, if why I'm saying this is that what is a pathway? What is a professional facilitators? How do we go to those places? So why I chose my example is that's how I learned. I attended the IAF events at Mumbai every single month. Now it's all over India in 6 hubs of India. In South, we have Chennai, Bengaluru, and Hyderabad, and we have Mumbai, Pune, and Delhi. So each month we are having process facilitation demonstrated. And once you go there, you get a taste of what is process facilitation. I would urge nobody should become a member unless you at least attend a couple of sessions. Why I'm saying is this, then you will be able to gauge whether in your work area or will you be able to apply these things. If the answer is yes, do become a member, right? Once you become a member, you become a community of global facilitators. And then you learn process facilitation from the monthly events. And once you have gained some skill in this, there is a first step called endorse facilitator. So you can take that. There will be guides. There is a mentoring program every year IAF gives. The senior accomplished facilitators all over the globe will be mentoring you how to further deepen your knowledge of facilitation so that you are skilled enough and you have the competencies ingrained in you through practices. And then there is a knowledge assessment test. Once you do that, then you will be certified as endorsed facilitator. The next level of that is what is called a certified professional facilitator. In all these things, IF community has a very generous set of facilitators will be helping you at each of these hubs wherever you are. But for talking about the professional development further on from endorsed facilitator, I would request my friend Kala to take over and talk a little bit about her facilitation journey, CPF journey, and what is there.
Yeah, Kala,
Thank you so much.
I would like to ask you, you've been a CPF past many years, and I would like you to tell us about the before CPF and after CPF and how the journey has been.
Absolutely. Thank you. So it has been 4+ years, and how I remember this so vividly because I had to recertify myself, and this year I recertified. So every 4 years we have to recertify a certified professional journey, and that's the beauty of it. It is not like any other certification where once you receive, you are there with it. Every year you have to recertify so that you have the awareness, right? That what space are you working from? So that's the beauty of it. So yes, my journey has been beautiful, and why I feel the IF community is so beautiful because this is one community, as you just heard Narsi say, that please experience process facilitation, what it means to you, whether you really need to know, to be here, then be a member. If you would go to any other associations, people would say be a member first and then we'll tell you what it is. This is the first association that I have come across in my entire life where people say, please come, you don't have to be a member, please experience this, understand your why. That's the beauty. And as process facilitators, that's what we do, and that's what the being is about, right?
Yes.
So understand your why. If you understand your why being in this community is clear, then please join us. And when I had done my certified professional facilitators, the EF, that is the endorsed facilitator, was not available. So I had to go to certified professional facilitators. It took me 3 years to reach or get certified as a certified professional facilitator. The journey has been beautiful. It takes around 3 to 4 months after you get invited. Another beauty is here, you have to be invited to be a certified professional facilitator. It is not that in any other exam, it is like you pay the fees, you know you will have to write your exam. It is not like that. Here, even after paying your fees, you have to be invited to, get into the assessment. This whole 3 to 4 months of that journey from invitation till you become a certified professional facilitator, this whole journey is a transformation where the competencies have to be ingrained, because when you are assessed or evaluated, it is the being of a facilitator that has to be there, right? So for me, I feel after I've become certified professional facilitator, my personality or my awareness towards myself has increased. Earlier, I used to be very anxious. I'm a very high J. So for me, things have to be done on time, and time is everything. Even if it's a minute late or two, I'm very critical about it. But I think during these 4 years, I have realized that, groups evolve. They will take their time. How
Yes.
can I be there without my judgment about it?
Yes.
And mind you, my friends, that's a real, test on myself, because I have to remain there neutral without my biases and without my judgments. Because for me, it would just take a minute if it is that in my head. But the group will take the time they want to. And am I patient enough and am I compassionate enough to let it evolve? And there too, without showing it on my face, that anxiousness. So I'm really, that needle has moved for me. So for me in life now, everything will happen at the right time. The right people will be there at the right time. And this is the biggest learning I have learned as my evolution as a certified professional facilitator. And it happens bit by bit, bit by bit. So self-awareness has increased, helping people have better conversations, right? And not only in professional life, even in personal life, because you just can't be a facilitator in your professional life and then you go back to your normal self. That doesn't happen. Right. So for me, that needle has moved, and I cherish, and I always tell certified professional facilitator, if you want to be a facilitator, right, this is something that you need to undergo. Those 3 months, 4 months of your assessment really changes it for you.
Yeah, one thing that picked up from Kalas, and which is also my experience, is that the personality changes from tell mode to seeking mode, enabling mode. In that way, I think we are eternal facilitators, or need to be, in the sense that how can we enable things to happen rather than pushing, or with a sense of favorishness. No. So my own personality has changed, I would say, after 2015 IAF, where I'm willing to wait like a crane with a lot of patience for the big fish to come. Yeah, I really tuned in when Kala said that I might have caught it earlier because I designed it, but they are going to take time because they are just now coming to the hall and working with it. And it means a lot to them, their life, than me as a facilitator. So I must be able to allow that space for them
Absolutely.
to dance in their own pace. That's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one should say facilitation is a life changer for the better.
It is. It
Yes.
is. It
Yeah.
is. It's larger than life, and that's why I keep going for that. It's never, you can say, been there, done that. It's never, never, never. That's why in IF we don't have the terms like senior facilitator, junior facilitator, nothing like that. Everyone is a facilitator. And the way this community adopts a newcomer, a new member, we have a WhatsApp group for India. All that you have to do is that I'm going to conduct a session. So any ideas? Within 3 minutes, you will have some ideas coming. I'll say, DM me and I will help you. What a generous community. Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, talking about IAF, what are some of the benefits of the members of the IAF? Narsi, can you tell me something about it?
Yeah, I think I ended that.
Yeah, on
So
that topic.
the generous community, one, you're a part of it. You're a part of a global community, which is present in 65 countries, as Ramesh mentioned in the beginning. And apart from that, is something called session labs, which all of us as members, there are about 600 to 700 methods, which has been generously contributed by facilitators having done a particular workshop. All a member has to do is to go there and put a search word, let's say team building. Immediately the processes will come as to what are the processes and how it needs to be facilitated for a desired outcome. I think for members and non-members also during this facilitation week, even non-members can go to the IAF website and go through the plethora of processes, the repository, the full Vishwarupam of that available. So what I'm coming to is, the benefit is that you are a member of a global community and you have professional development channels like what the NDAS facilitator is about, and the certified professional facilitators. So there is a, what I can say, there is a beautiful crucible available for you to really blossom as and then you have the global webinars happening all the time in each of those regions, and there isn't anything charged for attending a global webinar, where the best of the best facilitators from across the globe come and offer their time to showcase a particular process in that 90 minutes. So these are the highlights. The rest has to be, it's very difficult to say how a mango will taste you.
Yes.
You need to sink your teeth in and experience the Alfonso for yourself, as you can see from our faces.
Thank you.
Very well said. Yeah, very well said, Narsi. I like the metaphor of the mango. It's like, it looks good, but how is it going to benefit you? You'll only come to know once you sink your teeth in. So even if it is sour, it will help you in some way.
Some
Right?
ways.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you don't like mango, you can just replace it with any of those beautiful dishes.
Yes.
Would you like to add on to that, Kala? Member benefits from your perspective?
No, I think you've covered. And I think it is just, if you know your why you're in the community, those benefits are always there.
Always there.
And we always say, we as process facilitators are invisible goodness. So how can you say, what does this goodness will emerge for you? Right. So you have to be there to experience it each and every time.
Yeah. For us, being there and being yourself itself is a benefit.
Absolutely.
And then conferences, India conferences every year, and conferences also come with discounts. I am not trying to talk the monetary benefit of it, but just as a gesture, IAF gives a discount price for the conferences, all the conferences.
Just adding to what Narsi said, if you're a member, any webinar that you're attending is free for you.
Free
right?
for you.
So if you're a non-member, you pay for it. So any webinars which are there online, it is free for us to avail it for free.
And even the pricing is just, since we are a not-for-profit organization, the pricing for non-members is really low compared to the value that you get. And I would like you to experience that and experience it and know for it yourself.
Thank you, Narsi. Thank you, Kala. Kala, how is it advantageous to bring in facilitation in today's corporate environment?
That's a very interesting question. In today's times in organizations, you have multi-generation workforce coming together. So it becomes very important, to get facilitation rather than being in the tell mode, to be in the enabling mode, because you have so many generations working together, reaching towards a common goal. So how do you make each and everyone feel heard? Because everyone has their own different styles of working, right? And their being. So how do you create that space for conversation? How can you, even the junior most person come up to the senior level and say, look, man, I have a problem. Can you please help me? How we as leaders, use facilitation to show our vulnerability to find solutions from people. In today's world, you cannot have solutions for everything, because when COVID happened, people didn't know what to do.
Yes.
Organizations succeeded when they had leaders who were in the facilitative mode, going back to the employees and saying, we don't have an answer. We need to sustain this. What do we do? People poured in their solutions. Workable solutions were taken up by management, and organizations pivoted. If it was an authoritative kind of an organization where the space for conversation was not given, right, and people didn't have solutions, those organizations are still finding it very challenging to run organizations. So I feel, process facilitation really is the most important skill today's leaders, people managers need to have, because everything is about experience. It's about employee experience, right? Today's generation doesn't want to work for money. They want to be felt heard. They want to be felt seen, right? So we have to incorporate process facilitation where all these things are taken care of. And that is how, as in our earlier talks, you would hear that how important it is for people to have the ownership and responsibility. The feeling that, yes, what I'm doing is something that I have co-created with my organization, and I need to give 100% to it to achieve it. So I think in that way, the space for communication, the space for conversation, the space for dialoguing, the space where people can be easily vulnerable to show that we need solutions from you. The human connect, moving away from transactional connect to human connect, right? From moving away from micromanaging to micro-inspiring. These powerful words can be experienced when leaders, managers, use process facilitation or become facilitative in nature. I think that's the power.
Yeah. So if I may just build on to that, see, today, if you look at it, it's knowledge democracy has taken place. People know it. Anybody joining, they know it. The gone are the days when long back a balance sheet will be known to only the top people. It's just there in public domain, right? And when knowledge democracy has taken place, when the knowledge workers have joined, wouldn't it be nice to leverage on what they know and what they bring to the table than tell them, which is going to be disrespectful in some ways. So today we talk about reverse mentoring and so on. So what I'm alluding to is that when people know it already, now it's a question of harvesting the group wisdom. There is no need to tell them anything at all. And Kala used the word facilitative leadership.
Yes.
So I said in another conversation, in another question, that my own personality changed from a tell mode to seek mode. So we need more facilitative leaders who can enable change, right? Leveraging all the good that the organization already has, minimizing conflicts. And I really like what she said about micromanagement to micro-inspiring. And it's loaded with a lot of meaning, what she said. So micro-inspiring is possible when we start listening to people's ideas, hearing them, seeing them, right? So the kind of Ubuntu mentality needs to come
Yes.
in any groups.
Yes.
And that then, like what Dr. Stephen Covey said, 1 + 1 is 333, 333, 3,333. It can be anything. And that is possible when a facilitative leader emerges in the ecology. Yeah, so that's a need in corporates most. Any groups for that matter, since your question was specifically to corporate environment, this would be our answer.
Thank you, Kala, and thank you, Narsi, for such a great explanation of both the advantages of facilitation in corporate environment, because that's what is needed now. Thank you. Thank you again. Narsi, what are some of the competencies of facilitators?
Okay, I would say, and will require Kala competency PF to say that also. So basically, IAF has codified 6 broad competencies. So first of all, when we speak about facilitative leadership, for example, so you need to have a collaborative environment between you and the client to start with, right? So the first competency would be to create collaborative client relationships. And in this competency, there are sub-competencies also. So in the interest of time, I will just go through the top 6 competencies only. So once the sign-off has taken place, which we call the contracting stage, where we have got the brief, we have understood what the client's needs are, what they want to achieve through this session, we do what, then we go to our drawing board. Like pretty much like an architect takes from you what kind of house that you want to build, what's the kind of budget and who will be staying there. So all that, and then you go to the drawing board. So here is the competency B, which comes plan appropriate group processes, right? Now you've planned appropriate group processes. Now you're entering the hall there. So our job as a facilitator is to create and sustain a participatory environment in the hall. Means what? Safety, security, what means emotional safety? And how do you sense the room and see what kind of people are there? What kind of propensities are showing up? And how do you have processes to see that those are addressed? So once you have the trust of the participants, and there are ways to do that, and here definitely the humility of the facilitator plays quite a role. It's not the spotlight is on us as facilitators, it's on them all the time. So once you have a participatory environment, you need to go and guide the group to appropriate and useful outcomes. So, it's a map. This is the starting place and the ending place, and you guide the group through your processes to powerful outcomes. So in 100% facilitated sessions, we do precious little, as I said, just lay out the group map, and then they know how to navigate that, and come in only when there is a doubt on the processes. Are they going according to the processes? And a trained facilitator needs to hold processes, but not hold on to it. Which means that when there is some kind of dynamics emerging in the hall, so we need to be flexible enough to see that certain other processes are brought in, not wedded to anything, right? And as we said, we want to be endorsed facilitators, we want to be certified facilitators, and we want to recertify. All this calls for building and maintaining professional knowledge. All the time we are learning at every single session. As facilitators, we are also learning. So that is why in IAF conferences, if our proposal gets selected, we are like delegates. We pay the full fee, right? And we pay the full fee. And when my facilitation session gets over, I gain from the very experience of that, as well as attending other facilitation sessions. So these are the 5 one, and the last one is model positive professional attitude as a process facilitator, which is the being aspect. The 2 last, according to me, as the being, and so that when the foundation is strong, it's like if you imagine a triangle, which is called as a success triangle of a facilitator. Even if one angle, which is a knowledge angle, I go on devouring a lot of processes, the success triangle will not grow unless there is a simultaneous expansion on all the 3 angles. Isn't it? Knowledge, skill, and attitude, the being part of it. So the more and more we facilitators invest in the foundational part of the being, how can I be, then the other things comes quite well. Yeah. So these are the 6 competencies. I hand over the mic to Kala to come in with her experience.
No, so very beautifully said, Narsi. You've covered all the 6. Just getting the listeners' awareness that these 6 competencies are not standalone. They are so very interrelated. So if we are, as you heard him say about the triangle, if you are if you don't contract well with your stakeholders, you will not be able to design your program well. If you don't design the program well, you lose your neutrality, right? Then you're not able to manage the conflict. And in all this case, you will not be able to grow and learn, and you're not able to, model the positive mindset that you're supposed to do as a facilitator. So you see, everything is interrelated, and it is not that this is the first step, this is the last step. For me, I would start with the E and F first, because without that being,
Yeah.
you're contracting, even in the contracting stage, that could go for a mess, because so it's very important. It is not becoming of a process facilitator, it is being of a process facilitator. Right. And when you are interacting with facilitators who have been in the depth of facilitation, you really truly understand what it is. Right. So I think these competencies have to be you have to embody, it just gets embodied in you. Right? And this can happen only when you attend more sessions, when
Yes.
you attend more webinars, just reading processes, you will get so many processes. You have more than 700 now if you during the facilitation week. But what is the true main thing is, being part of the community, being there as community of practitioners and learning from each other. That is the whole, I think the essence of our community. That is how I would put it.
Yeah, so there is an incubator called IIF to see that each one of us hatch and hatch well.
Yes.
And rightly so, Kala started off with E and F competencies with the being. So the more we work in the being, the doing becomes better. The more we work in the being, I move from I to we, and I move from tell to seek. And that patience that Kala was talking about in the hall comes when I work on the being level. So competencies, one is to learn, but more we deliver, better we become.
Absolutely.
More we facilitate, better we become.
Thank you, Narsi. Thank you, Kala, for such a wonderful conversation. We had such beautiful, enlightening answers for all the questions. And I'm sure whoever was listening would have a wonderful idea of what is facilitation, what is process facilitation, and what are the areas we can do it, and how are the advantages and the development and the competencies to become a good facilitator. Thank you once again, Narsi. Thank you once again, Kala, and thank you, Ramesh, for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all. We had a wonderful conversation. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
It's been a wonderful conversation, as you said, and it's a lot
Yes.
of rehashing, relearning, and co-learning,
Yes.
co-facilitating everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It has been wonderful, and happy facilitation week to all, and hope to see all our non-members coming back into the
Yes.
community, coming to us, and we are there with open arms to welcome you, all of you. Thank
Yep.
you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Narsi. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
encouraging that small idea that we discussed amongst us, and you just built on to that. You encouraged me to build on to that, and encouraged me to get in touch with Shyam and Kala as well. And thanks, Kala, for immediately agreeing to this in a very short notice. And
Thank you.
thanks, Roop, for agreeing to moderate this so well. It has come out so elegantly and so seamlessly. So thank you all for being part of it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
for spearheading this. Thank you.